evening. My name is Gabrielle. A report by the USDA states beef patties that contain traces of dangerous E. coli bacteria, 89%. U.S. pigs that have pneumonia by the time they reach slaughter, 70%. U.S. chickens infected with leukosis, or chicken cancer, by the time they reach slaughter, 90%. Americans killed every year from eating eggs contaminated with salmonella, 600. I would like to make the claim that factory farming of animals is harmful to human health. First, I will define a few terms. Factory farming is defined as a system of large-scale, industrialized, and intensive agriculture that is focused on profit with animals kept indoors and restricted in mobility. Farm animal is defined as any animal kept for use or profit. An example of this would be a chicken, cow, or pig. My supporting claims will be that factory farming causes an increase in the spread of disease. The use of antibiotics in factory farming is causing serious health issues for people, and the mismanagement of waste is causing serious health and environmental issues. Factory farming causes an increase in the spread of disease. First, I would like you to imagine that it is November, and you are in a voting booth deciding who you would like to be the next president of the United States. Now imagine living your entire life inside this box. More than 9 billion chickens, 41 million cows, and 105 million pigs are raised and slaughtered in such conditions every year. Chickens raised by factory farms are forced into cages about 20 inches by 20 inches, 5 chickens to a cage. These cages are stacked one on top of another, up to 6 stacks high. Male cows are taken away from their mothers at birth and forced into tiny stalls that are only 2 feet wide by 6 feet long. Pigs are confined to crates that are only 2 feet wide by 7 feet long. These animals never see the sun or breathe fresh air. They cannot even stretch their limbs. Crowding animals into such small cages in such bad conditions increases the risk of disease. Undercover investigations of chicken farms by PETA reveal that the fowl often suffer from dehydration, bacterial infections, respiratory diseases, heart attacks, prolapsed uteruses, starvation, crippled legs, and numerous other ailments. The accumulation of waste results in high levels of ammonia, causing painful burns to the skin, eyes, and respiratory tracts of the birds. Salmonella and leukosis, chicken cancer, are not uncommon. Over 1 million birds have been killed in Hong Kong in the panic to stop the bird flu. Toxic gases from the buildup of pig feces supports the rise of a number of diseases, including pneumonia, dysentery, cholera, and trichinosis. Mad cow disease is one of many illnesses that afflict cattle raised by factory farms. Many of these diseases do not die with the animal slaughter. The meat and eggs are contaminated by pathogens that humans soon ingest. Salmonella sickens more than 650,000 and kills more than 600 U.S. citizens every year. E. coli bacteria sickens more than 62,000 people per year, and the USDA reports that it's very likely most of the cattle slaughtered for consumption in the U.S. are infected with it. The spread of disease through factory farming brings me to my second supporting claim. The use of antibiotics in factory farming is causing serious health issues for people. Employees of factory farms spend much of their time cleaning out the dead animals that riddle the floors of the cages. An undercover investigator for the Humane Society infiltrated Rembrandt, the nation's third largest egg producer, in March of 2010. The investigator spent much of his first 2 days on the job pulling what he described as scores of decomposed and mummified hen carcasses that were obviously weeks old. Similar accounts are noted from other producers. It is obvious that the owners of these farms know about the spread of disease and the high mortality rate. To combat this, they administer huge amounts of antibiotics and other drugs to their animals. Farmers have also now discovered that the use of antibiotics and hormones causes animals to grow faster. These drugs form a toxic residue in the tissues of the animal, which we then ingest. One of these often added to chicken feed is arsenic, a carcinogen known to cause cancer. This frequent overuse of antibiotics is wreaking havoc in the medical community. The Humane Farming Association reports that new strains of virulent bacteria are evolving, and many of these are resistant to antibiotics. These drugs are now useless in combating disease, all because of their use in factory farms. Because our bodies are resistant to many popular antibiotics, many doctors now struggle to find drugs to fight numerous common illnesses. My final supporting claim is that the mismanagement of waste is causing serious health and environmental issues. With 9,146 million animals raised every year at factory farms, you can imagine how much excrement that is. In fact, it's about 250,000 pounds per second. A report from PETA claims that there is about 3 trillion tons of waste produced annually by U.S. livestock and factory farms. And where does most of this end up? Some of it is used to fertilize crops, but most of it ends up in our water. On June 21st, 1995, North Carolina was attacked, but this was no normal attack. North Carolina was attacked by pig urine and feces. 25 million gallons of pig excrement were dumped into New River when a lagoon holding 8 acres of hog excrement burst. Factory farms, unlike most cities, do not have a sewage system. The unmentionables just pile up and eventually spill over into our water sources. Not only do we face pollution from the urine and feces, but also from the antibiotics and bacteria contained within this excrement. The bursting of the North Carolina lagoon resulted in the death of an estimated 10 to 14 million fish. And this is not the only example. According to the EPA, the #1 source of water pollution is agricultural runoff. A study by the Natural Resources Defense Council in 1998 stated that water quality in at least 30 states was threatened by manure from large cities, from large dairies, feedlots, chicken farms, and hog farms. Nitrate, ammonia, phosphorus, chloride, and other compounds are found in the runoff of waste and are known to be toxic, even deadly, to human beings and to other animals. Instead of facing the huge piles of fecal matter, some farmers collect the chicken feces and mix it into the food they then give to cattle. Although this does reduce the chicken fecal matter, it only adds once again to the problem of disease. I hope, given the evidence of this speech, that you will agree with me that factory farming is indeed harmful to human health.
All right, the proposition is very specific. There's a good layout of the secondary claims. Background definitions are okay. I thought the transition to the first point was a little bit awkward, but you were better on the second and the third points in the body of the speech. Your evidence is you've got good examples that you're citing. There's some factual data that you present that I don't really get a source for, but a lot of other information you do provide sources for. I'm a little iffy on PETA as a source, but I did think that you provided some other sources. And the one example at the end when you're talking about water contamination, I think you did a good job following up. You've got the North Carolina illustration about the accident that happened, and then you've got the follow-up testimony that comes from the government agency that talks about how frequent water contamination from farms is, and that's the biggest source of pollution for water needs, and I think that's a good point. Now, one of the things that's missing there is some demonstration that people have gotten sick or have been harmed from that water contamination. There might be barriers or procedures that are in place that protect us from that. There may not be, I don't know, but we don't have any consequences, any demonstration that the consequences occur from the water contamination. Most of the health issues that you talk about on the first part have to do with food contamination, and I thought you did okay on that. I think you need a little bit more information that shows that it is the use of the antibiotics in the farms that's creating resistance to the antibiotics that are used on treating human illnesses. That seemed a little tenuous to me. All right, thank you.